Question of the day. Can you sell final expense life insurance, whether over the phone or in person, doesn't really matter. Can you sell it part-time? My ultimate answer is no. However, there will always be exceptions, but I'd like to take a deep dive into why I feel this way. You may disagree, that's totally fine, but let's have an open discussion about it, and we can figure out whether or not selling final expense part-time is the right fit for you or not. Here's the thing, guys. You cannot jump into any industry as a 1099 independent contractor. Because you can doesn't mean you should. Right? Just because you don't have somebody micromanaging your time through a W-2 employee opportunity where you have to clock in and clock out doesn't mean that you will be just as successful on your own, managing your own schedule with another full-time job, kind of dipping your toe into the life insurance space, thinking, hey, I'm just going to try this part-time, see if it makes sense. If it does make sense, I'm going to leave my full-time job and I'm going to dive in the deep end into selling life insurance. Of course, I only sell final expense insurance, so that's why I'm going to reference that. That mentality is broken. It is a broken mentality. I don't care what anybody says as far as being able to promote or recruit people that want to work part-time. I think it is doing you a disservice. It is a false sense of security. Unless, now here is my unless, here are my exceptions. Unless, A, you've sold life insurance before, you are already an expert at it, and you're ready to take a step back and sell part-time. That would be one exception, because you will be able to maximize the time that you're in, like me. If I were to jump in for a couple hours a day on the phones, I would be just as successful as a brand new agent working 8 to 10 hours a day. I just would, because I have a higher chance of converting almost every interested lead I get versus somebody that's just learning, okay? The other exception is your income goals align with someone that wants to work part-time. And so depending on what your income goals are, because that's different for everybody, if your income goals make sense to working part-time based on where you're at in the learning process, then sure, have at it, right? Your income goals may not be the same as my income goals or somebody else's income goals, but that is each their own, non-arguable. Let's break down the first person that wants to try to get into life insurance part-time. This is the classic example. Someone is stuck in a 9-to-5, right? Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a police officer, whether you're an Uber driver, like it doesn't matter. I don't care what you do. You're trying to transition into a 1099 sales position, selling life insurance. You just want to put in maybe weekends or evenings or a couple hours a day, and let's just test the waters and see if I can make enough money to quit. Here's the reality. Your learning curve when you first start is ginormous, right? More than likely, you don't have experience selling life insurance. More than likely, you don't have sales experience in general because you're coming from a W-2 job. So you have two things working against you. A, you don't have the experience in the industry, and B, you don't have experience in sales. Now, maybe you have experience in sales, but you don't have experience in the industry. That was me, right? I came from almost 20 years of sales experience. Did I knock it out of the park my first month on the phones? No. Why? Because I had a huge learning curve. But guess what? I had to put in 8-9 hours a day to sell one policy a day. One policy a day. So what would make you think that you could work 2 hours a day in the evenings or 1 day a week, or whatever the part-time hours are for you, and expect to get better results than someone who has a lot of sales experience in general, but no experience in the industry. Over time, I got better. I got sharper. I got experience from all my conversations. I started understanding the industry. I started understanding the competition. I started understanding everything I need to know to have a stronger, more sophisticated conversation with my clients. And that 1 deal a day turned into 2 deals a day, and then 3 deals a day. And after several months, I was selling 3, 4, sometimes 5 deals a day, every day consistently in the same amount of time, right? It's not because my leads were any better. It's because I got better. But I made the decision up front that I had to dive in and immerse myself in the learning process of mastering this craft. Now, if you have time to take 6 months to learn it before you get to that point where I got after 1 month, have at it. But is that really your reality? Because I'll tell you from what I've seen, most agents quit after a month or 2 of not being able to make consistent sales, because either they're wasting money on leads and they don't have the resources, the time, they don't ask for help, they don't obsess over the learning process. And so they buy leads, they don't sell the leads, they fail. They go back to their job. They save up for more leads. They buy more leads, they call the leads, they fail. It's just a constant cycle because you're doing it for such a short amount of time. You're not even giving yourself a chance to be successful, right? And so you're now lumped in to the 92% of agents that fail in their first year. And I believe a lot of the percentage of agents that do fail in their first year are trying it part-time. They're trying to leave another job in order to have the financial freedom that everybody totes about in the life insurance space. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? You can't hold on to your W-2 safety net and make the life insurance sales work at the same time. Would it be reasonable for you to want to open up a restaurant, right? It's your own business. You're a 1099 independent contractor for life insurance. It's your own business. Would it be reasonable for you to open up a restaurant, but still have a full-time job and only show up to the restaurant a couple hours a day? Like, that's when you're open. Do you really think that that business is going to be successful? How many customers do you think you're going to have the opportunity to serve in that amount of time? Like, what happens when someone walks in 10 minutes before you close, but then you have to leave in 10 minutes because you have to get to your Uber job, right? Like, none of this makes any sense. So don't kid yourself that you think you're going to dip your toe into learning the industry a few hours a week, right? It's not going to work. I can save you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of headache to just say, stick with where you're at until you're ready to jump ship. Because then, and only then, will you give yourself the best opportunity for success. Another reason why part-time doesn't typically work. Let's pretend you do have some success selling part-time. You sell a couple policies a week. Now, the chances of those policies canceling in your first 12 months, if you're doing telesales, is about 20 to 25%. There's a 20 to 25% chance, if you're selling it the right way, that that policy will cancel in the first year. So if you're not selling enough volume of policies to account for the ones that will inevitably cancel, then really you're just borrowing money, right? And when those chargebacks start to come in, and when your lead investment needs to be paid, you're going to be at a crossroads. What are you going to do, right? So you have to think about this kind of stuff before you just look at the sunshine and rainbows of what the industry can provide The people that are at the top and doing very, very well, they're not part-time, right? They are all in. You have to be all in to get the type of results that you're seeing. On my team, I have brought in part-time agents, and I still do, because I'm not going to make the determination for somebody else whether or not they're going to fail, right? Ultimately, everybody has to face their own reality and have their own experience to be able to have their own perspective as to whether or not what I'm saying is actually true. So I will provide all of the glass is half empty information so that you can make an informed decision as to whether or not you want to take that risk. And on my team, there's very, very little risk, because guess what? My agents don't even have to buy their own leads. They just plug into a system, put themselves in an available status, and the leads just come. So think about how little of a risk it actually is for someone to come on my team and work part-time. For them, it's more of a risk for me, right? Because I'm now providing free opportunity to someone that really isn't fully committed, right? And they're not just fully committed with their time when they're working, but because of the other distractions, they may not be able to come to all the trainings. They may not be able to book coaching calls, right? They're probably not practicing and rehearsing outside of working because they're working at their other job, right? And when you're burning the candles at both ends, you're exhausted, right? And let's not pretend that you don't have a personal life, or you don't have a family, or you don't have kids. There's just way too much going on for you to be able to have the expectation that this is a good decision. And every time I have brought on agents that want to be part-time or try to dip their toe to see if they can leave their job, it never works. I'm telling you right now, part-time for life insurance sales is not a good idea. And that is my platform. That is where I stand. I will still take on some part-time agents. They're on a very short rope. If you can't sell a certain amount while you're working, then eventually I'm just throwing good money after bad, and it's not going to make sense for either of us. So that's as transparent as I can get. You're either in or you're out. If you're in, I can guarantee that if you follow the steps that I will lay out for you, you attend the coaching, you attend the training, you put in the time, you follow the script, you overcome false objections, you help people get out of their own way so that they can make a decision to say yes, I will not let you fail. That is emphatically what I tell all of my agents. It's literally impossible to fail if everything is handed to you on a silver platter. So if you're afraid of leaving the job that you hate because you're afraid of the financial risk that it would require for you to leave, we might be the answer for you, right? We provide unlimited free leads, up to 15 live transfers per day, 3 days a week of team coaching. My schedule is open for one-on-one coaching. There is nothing risky other than a refundable seat fee that we have all of our agents pay at the beginning of the month. And at the end of the month, if you've had 80 hours of talk time, you get that fee 100% reimbursed. If that sounds like something that is interesting to you, if there's been something holding you back from wanting to make that leap because you're afraid of the financial commitment, this system has our top producers writing as much as $15,000 to $20,000 a week in annualized premium. Where 100% of nothing is still nothing, I bet you would take 50% of that. My name is Dana Neeson. I'll put the link to my Calendly right there. If you want to book a discovery call with me to learn more about what my team has to offer, I would love to touch base and chat with you. Until then, have a great sales day.